Hey everybody over at movies.com, it is the Schmoes Know Movie Show. I'm Christian.
And I am Mark. Christian, this weekend in theaters, you have Noah, which is a biblical epic, but you also have The Raid 2 and Sabotage, starring a young man named Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do your thing.
Come on, I don't care about Noah and putting things in the boats. Who are you gonna do? I've been around for years with Danny DeVito and filling Predators. Do my list.
So DeVito movies, the first one you're talking about?
Come on.
Come on, Arnold. We're doing the top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger films of all time. You know him, you love him. He's probably the greatest action star that the earth has ever seen.
Charisma, baby, charisma.
He's got all that stuff, and he's had a bunch of action movies. And sometimes he went into comedy, sometimes he went into some other things, sometimes he went into politics, and Californians were still kind of sorting out what exactly that was about.
We have no idea, but what we do know is that Arnold is one of the best, like you said, action stars of all time. So we're going to honor him with the top 5 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies of all time. Mark, what do you got coming in at number 5?
We're coming in hot at number 5. This is a very bantied about topic. What's the movie that we're going to include in here? Because he's got a lot of movies that are really fun to watch, but maybe necessarily aren't the greatest films of all time. But I think this one can count. Number 5, The Running Man.
Yeah, The Running Man was close. I mean, look, Commando almost made it in there. The first Total Recall, both great ones, maybe a little dated, but The Running Man to me still is just something. I mean, this was the first Hunger Games, man. This is the Hunger Games.
And you say in one sense it is a very dated looking kind of movie, but it also is kind of a futuristic tale that we could actually see this in the future. I mean, Richard Dawson probably wouldn't be hosting the game show, but it was a nice touch.
It's a futuristic game show where people are actually killing each other, a la, again, Hunger Games, but you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Butcher of Bakersfield. He is framed for this massacre that didn't happen. They basically, it was the first reality show. It really was.
It's kind of like Hunger Games, a little Death Race, a little Hard Targety, a little Surviving the Game, a little Heart of Darkness. It's got a little bit of everything and a whole lot.
Story, man.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Number 4, then. That would be Richard Kimball. Kindergarten Cop, another one directed by Ivan Reitman.
Pretty sure Dr. Richard Kimball was Harrison Ford's character in The Fugitive.
John Kimball. That's right, John Kimball, Richard's brother, he's in this movie. And again, you see, what I loved about this movie when it started out was that it started like a normal Arnold action movie like the 80s and 90s, and it's raw, gritty, and then he's thrown into this comedy world of having to teach kids and saying, it's not a tumor.
Yeah, and then you get these classic lines like that, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina, and it actually ended up being a lot more of a comedy, and it was probably his best comedy, which is why it makes the list, over something like Twins, which is also very good.
It's good.
And then something like Jingle All the Way, which had a really young Darth Vader in it.
Well, there's another one that he mixed those tones together very well, and I believe it's number 3 on the list, and that would be
True Lies, baby. This is one of my favorite theater experiences of all time. My whole family had to go see it. We were all blown away by how cool it was, the action, the comedy. You laughed a lot, there were thrills, and Tom Arnold, by the way, one of the greatest sidekick performances in history.
Yeah, that was surprising as well. But they had this whole movie. James Cameron and he had worked together, so it was again you going into it going, oh, James Cameron and Arnold, you're getting another Terminator experience, just raw, gritty, and it's not. There's a lot of great action for sure, but again, it was about the way that they mix this genre of comedy and action together, and Jamie Lee Curtis still is one of the best stripteases of all time in the movie.
Was that Terminator movie? We'll get to that later. What do you got at number 2?
Number 2, that would be Predator. If it bleeds, we can kill it. I love Predator. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. This movie it's just very simple, to the point. Arnold and his team, they go into the jungle, and what happens is crazy alien goes in, and it is directed by John McTiernan.
That's right, who also did Die Hard a year later. And before the Predators were fighting aliens and constantly disappointing us at the box office, they were fighting humans in the jungle somewhere in South America, and it was such an exciting thing because you have Schwarzenegger, you also have Carl Weathers, you have Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean, come on, man. You can't lose in this movie. It's still one of the best action sci-fi films of all time.
It absolutely is. And if it wasn't for the number 1 movie, which we're about to talk about, I think Predator would have. You gotta go Terminator 2. Very hard for me to say because I actually love Terminator so much, but Terminator 2 just did so much for movies.
You like Terminator better than Terminator 2.
I do, but I understand that Terminator 2 was one of the greatest Arnold movies of all time because of what it did. And it not only, in the first one he was the villain, and he didn't really say that much, but it was 2 that he really created the character of the Terminator to what the machine could ultimately do.
As far as a humanizing element, elements, emotional touch to it, and just that storyline was so deep and intricate and exciting, and the special effects were revolutionary at the time. The liquid metal with Robert Patrick, him versus Robert Patrick in those roles was just so exciting to watch. And again, when it came out in the early 90s, it was just everybody's mind was blown, and the art of action films was never the same.
A lot of one-liners all over the place on this list. Arnold had them galore in that one too. So hasta la vista, baby. That's our list. What do you think? Top 5 Arnold movies for you guys. Comment below and tell us what you think.
He really wanted to put Conan in there, but I mean, come on, where are you gonna fit that in?
A lot of you. I know you were thinking about Junior.
Hey, he's pregnant. It's funny. Emma Thompson's in it. She wins awards sometimes. Okay, so also in theaters this week, and like we said, is Noah, the biblical epic about the guy that built the ark with Russell Crowe. He gets to hang out with Jennifer Connelly, Emma Watson, animals, and God. That's a nice foursome.
Don't forget about the Raid 2 also opening up. If you get a chance to talk about action movies,
yeah,
that is one that you go out and go see immediately. That's our list. That's what we got. So again, guys, thank you so much for checking the Schmozo Movie Show. I'm Christian.
I am Mark, and you know what? You do the line. Hasta la vista, baby.
I just did it already.
I want to hear it one more time.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Hasta la vista, baby.
It was terrible. It's not fantastic.